Hi there, I'm Robert.
And I'm Laura, and we're Suburban Preppers.
So in this video we are going to discuss smokers and what they can do to prepare for after any major SHTF situation. So I'm an ex-smoker myself. I gave up 18 years ago, not long after Laura's dad passed away. And basically I know how hard it was when you were desperate for a cigarette and you couldn't have a cigarette. I would have literally killed for a cigarette at some points. Laura will be able to confirm. I used to literally drive us insane if I wanted a cigarette and I couldn't get a cigarette. So I know what it's like, but at the same time, I don't want to be all preachy as an ex-smoker saying, "Oh, you must quit because you do you." Quitting was right for me in that situation. It might not be for you. Like I say, you do what's right for you. So we want to look at it, first of all, what you can do to prepare as smokers. And like I say, without being preachy, the best thing you can do is obviously try and quit. Health reasons, money, so you don't stink, things like that. But like I say, I don't want to preach. You do what's right for you. Don't want to quit, don't quit. It's your choice. So yeah, first of all, what I would do now if I was a smoker still and I was preparing for any long-term SHTF situation or even a long-term interruption to the supply chain is I would first of all treat it as any other prep and look to stock up. So for stocking up on cigarettes, if you buy the packets of cigarettes from the shops, packs of 20 or the sleeves of 200 or whatever, it's going to get quite expensive quite quick. And if I'm honest, I don't know what the long-term shelf life of them will be. So myself personally, although I started on the shop bought cigarettes, it wasn't long after that I moved on to the hand-rolled cigarettes. The hand-rolled tobacco is the route I would go. You can buy the pouches of it from the shops, or I'm sure most people know a man down the pub or someone around the corner that sells some of the tax-free stuff. We'll just not go into that too much. But yeah, so however you obtain your pouches of tobacco, if it was me, I would look to put them in the freezer and basically freeze them and rotate through the stock as I had a stock, basically. I mean, like I say, I used to smoke, it was the 50-gram pouches of tobacco, and I used to go through one of them around about one a week, give or take. So what I would do now is I would purchase at a rate of 2 a week, and I would put an extra one away. And as well as the tobacco, I would put away the papers and the filter tips and a few of the rolling machines, because I could never roll by hand. So yeah, like I say, I would start putting them into the freezer, and I don't know, maybe if you say 2 years in the freezer maximum. Like I say, when I had a good stock in the freezer, then when I would be buying new ones, I would start rotating the old ones out and smoking through them and whatnot. Like every prep, at some point, even if you have a load of it stored away in ideal conditions, you're going to run out. So you need to look at alternatives for when you do run out. So one of the routes that you could go down if you're feeling a little bit green-fingered is you could try growing your own tobacco. So I've got on my phone here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's eBay in the UK, and there's numerous different sellers of tobacco seeds. So I've got two selected as my favourites, just so I can find them quickly. So they are 1,000 amber leaf tobacco seeds and 1,000 golden Virginia tobacco seeds. It says they're highly fertile seeds, organic, blah blah blah. The amber leaf ones are £5 including delivery for 1,000 seeds, and the golden Virginia ones are £6.95 for 1,000 including delivery. So that's not a bad price if you ask me. Now I did try this many years ago, again when I was a smoker, and I had my first greenhouse at our old house, and they grew amazing. They grew really, really quickly, vigorously. The leaves were massive, you know, though. When I say they were massive, they were huge, you know. And I thought, great, you know, I'm going to be smoking for free. So obviously I cut the leaves off, and then I hung them up in the greenhouse to dry them out, because the plan was dry them, crush them, smoke them, happy days. And then they all went mouldy because the greenhouse was a little bit humid. So if you're going to go down that route, growing them is only half the battle. You then need to dry them before you can smoke them, and they need to be somewhere where they will dry rather than go mouldy. You can put them in a dehydrator, you can buy drying racks, do whatever you feel is right for you. But yeah, growing tobacco leaves for your own tobacco is another alternative that you could do. Just remember, when you're growing them, let a couple of the plants go to seed and then save the seeds so you can harvest them and continue growing a future crop. Otherwise, your 1,000 seeds won't last very long. And when you get the seeds, they're like pinheads, you know, so when you sow them in the little pot, I'm doing the sprinkling like you would be sowing the seeds. When you sow them in the pot, you'll end up putting it about 200 in one little sort of 4-inch pot, you know, and you'll end up with tons of plants, and then you'll only grow kind of 5 or 6 out of that, so you will go through the seeds quite quick. So either buy a load of them or save your seeds, basically. So yeah, that is the tobacco route. But now let's talk about alternatives to tobacco. So, Laura, what have we got as the first tobacco alternative?
So we have this Nordic Spirit nicotine pouches. These are £6, and we can put a discount code, not a discount code, like
referral code,
referral code in the description box below. So if you order these, you get them for free.
Yeah, you'll get a box for free.
Yeah, and then we get a £6 credit. So just to be transparent for that.
So what do you do with these nicotine pouches, Laura?
So I've had a look. Obviously, these are for people who do smoke. So it's not for someone who just wants to start smoking or who has never smoked before. So it says on the back of the pack, because I was having a little look, it says for best result or best taste experience, keep refrigerated. So you can put them in the fridge. They're nicotine pouches, spearmint flavour, and you place the pouch under your upper lip, and then it says you feel an initial tingling sensation, and you can you can enjoy them for up to 60 minutes. And then once you've finished, there is a little container. We don't know if it's in the inside of the container or if it's the lid pops off, but that's where you put your used pouches.
Yeah, so just to clarify what Laura said before about the referral code, or anything, we're not sponsored by Nordic Spirit or anything like that, you know. It's just when we were researching for this video, we found this brand, and like I say, one of the things that they did was if you refer a friend to them, you can, like, your friend will get the equivalent of $1 for free, and then we'll get a referral code for $1 for free. We're not really bothered if you use it because we don't smoke. We're going to give these away to friends. So again, we're not sponsored by them, but we will get a reward if you get them. But it doesn't really matter either way because it's not something that we'll be using. So yeah, and also, while these were the spearmint flavour, and obviously these were the Nordic Spirit brand, you can get numerous different brands, numerous different flavours. So yeah.
So the last item that we've got, and which we purchased with our own money, is this vape. Now this is a disposable vape. The laws have changed, I think, possibly just in England.
In the UK at least, yeah.
Yeah, so in the UK, which means that shops are no longer able to sell them. Now, however, we have purchased this. That came into force, on the 1st of June, 2025. It is actually the 11th of June today, so we've still purchased this. So I'm guessing until shops run out of stock,
Yeah.
You can still buy the disposable ones.
Yeah, not officially though, because they're not meant to sell them. But like I say, we had no problem buying it. But it may well be the case that you need to buy the refillable, rechargeable ones.
Yeah.
But so, what do you do with a vape, Laura?
So you would open the box, and then
Bearing in mind we don't smoke or vape or anything, so
comes with this little card. No idea what that's for. It's got a QR code on, so maybe it's to get another one or something. So you would open the packet and then you would just pop it in your mouth and puff away. So it says that it comes with, so you get 600 plus puffs. This one's 20 micrograms per milliliter, mg/ml. These were 6, so these are a lot higher nicotine content.
So I think with these give like a slow release. It says up to an hour, whereas I think that's like a instant hit.
You just put it in your mouth and you just,
So, a word of warning, if you are going to store these, if you can still get the disposable ones, or if you get the refillable ones, they do have the lithium-ion batteries in them, which are quite unstable. So they're the ones that in the Chinese e-scooters and hoverboards that were setting people's houses on fire and stuff, where they can, if they overheat or if they get impacted or whatever, they can combust and burn your house down. So if you're going to store them, just store them safely in a fireproof container, possibly not in your house. Maybe it's in a shed or garage or whatever, if you have them. But anyway, like I say, we don't know, we're not vape experts, we don't vape. So, but yeah, we're just, like I say, covering the different options that people can have if they still need their nicotine hit. But also, I imagine, as a trade item for a smoker, things like these, they're like gold dust. Like I say, I can remember back in my smoking days when I needed a cigarette and it was a need. It wasn't a want, I needed it. Obviously, nicotine, it's a highly addictive drug, and I needed my fix and it would drive us loopy. So, imagine what you could do with that, what you could trade with it for someone who needed their nicotine fix. I would have sold my kids for a cigarette back when I used to smoke. I don't smoke, I'd probably still sell them now for a cigarette just to get rid of them. But yeah, like I say, we're not smokers, we don't recommend anyone smokes, we don't recommend anyone starts vaping or pouching. I don't know what the correct term would be for that. But if you are a smoker and you do need your nicotine hit, there's alternatives. And like I say, this doesn't have a best before date on, but this one has a expiry date of 2027, so it's got 2 years on that. So, you could put them away and store them like your other preps, like your tins of beans and your bottles of water and stuff.
So, as always, if you have enjoyed our video, then please do give it a thumbs up. Comment if you can think of any items that you would use if you were a smoker. Yeah,
or not a smoker, a vapor, or a poucher.
A poucher, yeah.
Or you're green fingered and you grow your own tobacco, because some people might do it already. Leave a comment below.
You can offer some hints to people on how to do it, how to make it so that the leaves don't go mouldy, so that you can actually use the leaf. Do subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It really helps the channel out and makes it so that we can get more videos like this out, really, so you can see them. And
I think that's about it.
Probably about it,
So, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.